Eyes on the Road, Why Travel is Now Connected to the Emotional Syntax of Films. Exploring local geographies more than ever, directors like Imtiaz and Tanuja Chandra tell us why travel is now connected to the emotional syntax of their films. Long cab drives, eating hot pakoras on the vintage Fairy Queen train, a night at the ashram. Last year's Karim single certainly put you in the mood to travel. But the real journey played as pivotal a role in the rom-com as the protagonists, Yogi, Irfan Khan, and Jaya Parvati. The journey is the story. There is a physical one, of course, to these places: Dehradun, Rishikesh, Delhi, Aur, Jaipur and Gangtok, and an inner one as well that the lead characters have, says director Tanuja Chandra, of the film about a mismatched couple meeting through a dating app, setting out on an expedition to revisit their past, and, in the process, discovering themselves and each other. We are discussing the many journeys portrayed in contemporary Hindi films, and how their cinematic depiction has evolved over time. Exceptions have always been there, but, by and large, real journeys have been a pretext to find a beautiful backdrop to shoot a song or take the viewer on a vicarious holiday. They have also been about stoking wanderlust. So, if Chennai, 1989, made Switzerland a go-to place, signed Doggy Na Miligai Dobara, 2011, put Spain on the well-heeled Indians' bucket list. However, of late, journeys in films have become the thematic thread, the central motif and also the integral narrative device on which the entire foundation of a film is built. Imtiaz, the most itinerant filmmaker of contemporary Hindi cinema, says he never consciously intended journey to be the leitmotif in all his films. I have not been aware of my own interest that I have been identified with in retrospect, he says. Jab We Met, 2007, did take off from a recurring dream of his though, of missing the train. He calls the journey his co-storyteller in filmmaking. It helps him narrate things in a certain way. Everything changes on the journey. Things gravitate in a certain direction, new things flower. People on a journey behave differently. It might make someone more dramatic and help take the story forward differently, he says. The politics of it. Shaibani Bafija, writer of Karan Johar's My Name is Khan, 2010, says Shah Rukh Khan's voyage across America in the film was a tool of transformation for the characters. The Asperger's-afflicted Rizwan Khan pays a heavy personal price for his surname and hits the road to explain to the American president that his name is Khan and he is not a terrorist. The characters change, but they also change other people, or even the world, to an extent, she says. How easy was it to marry travel with the fraught post-9/11 politics? All our lives are political in one way or the other. Travel is just a part of life, she quips. For Kabir Khan, the preponderance of travel in his films is an offshoot of his early days of training as a documentary filmmaker, assisting senior journalist Saeed Naqvi and visiting over 60 countries with him. It wasn't about tourism, he clarifies, but rather about documenting people and places, understanding political situations and internalizing them. Unusually, he sees a kindred spirit in Rani Ratnam, in how the cinematic journeys in the director's films have a political element woven in, be it Roja, 1992, or Dil Se, 1998. The political road film genre then, be it Kabul Express, 2006, or Bajrangi Bhaijaan, 2015, came to him organically than consciously. It's how I inherently end up doing things, on the go, he says. Though Kabir does admit that traveling through the length and breadth of Afghanistan and Rajasthan also offered visual, cinematic possibilities. Ultimately for him location is a character. Some things can only happen in a certain place, he says. Voyage into the self. Whatever be their own portrayal of travel, most contemporary Hindi filmmakers are in agreement with Johar, who says that earlier, travel used to add to a film's opulence, scale and indulgence. It was all about cut to foreign location to shoot a song. Now it has to do with the narrative itself. Characters are moving more organically across time and space, in a film. So how do they see journeying change over the years in Hindi films? I don't think we have explored geographies as much as we are doing now, says Ali. He takes it back to the equipment. The bulky shooting gear is given way to lighter instruments, so it has become easier to travel and shoot. I don't think a highway would have been possible 30 years ago. Chandra views it thematically. Road movies usually show protagonists running away from someone or something. Possibly now, they may be running towards something, towards finding love or towards discovering some kind of undiscovered meaning in life, she says. But, conversely, how does a journey help elaborate on these themes? For Johar, A Dilhai Mushkil was about the evolution of a character in time, and so the journey. It's said that you leave home to find yourself, to create a new side of yourself. Travel is connected to that emotional syntax of the film, he says. According to Ali, travel is a reorienting experience. It makes you break the shackles of everyday existence. You are not the same as you are the rest of the time. In doing so, you discover yourself, he explains. So it is not just about the geographical journey. The protagonists are perennially on a metaphorical trip, a journey inwards, a journey to love, about men and women fighting their inner demons to fall in love. We get to know people quite intimately when we travel with them, probably because there is something new or strange that we are contending with, new places and experiences, and Chandra. Off the road. The often crazy shoots of such poignant journeys create recollections aplenty. Kaba recalls shooting in Afghanistan for Kabul Express, and how difficult it was to find spots without landmines. Or the challenge of taking Salman Khan, who does not enjoy traveling, all the way up to the Chilwa Glacier for Bajrangi Bajong. Every location in Kashmir was stunning, but at least 1 hour's trek from the road. Salman would keep staring at me with this strange expression in his eyes, he recalls. Ali remembers how a lot of highway was not pre-planned, but all about stopping and shooting at whichever location felt right. I was in the first car of the cavalcade. We were in Nako, the highest point in Himachal, and had stopped to eat when I saw this hillock in the light. Alia, Bat, who was relaxing, was asked to change into the costume. She kept asking me what do I have to do. I told her to just climb up, that she will know what to do by the time we reach. We got her on the camera just as the sun was setting. And, in the rush, it was Top and Ilmaida who had to say action instead of me, he says. Following the Heart. A film with a journey at its core might look good and feel great, but it also means huge logistical issues, which could be both fun and a nightmare. Kaba cannot see it as anything but fun. The process of filmmaking is as important as the end product, and nothing can replace the real locations, he says. We catch him when he is just back from a tough 2-month-long journey, shooting Amazon Prime's 5-part series, The Forgotten Army. On Subhash Chandra Bose's Indian National Army, INA, it had him go back on the same journey he went on 2 decades ago for the documentary he had made on the same subject. It was challenging to go deep into the jungle. We shot near the border. Shooting in locations that haven't been explored before is all about belling the cat, as Ali puts it. It can literally involve building bridges across streams to walk across, which could later get used by local people. It can be tough but also thrilling. If we are playing safe we wouldn't be making movies, he concludes. Realities of the route. Visual Menon. The journey has been a part of South Indian films, with many like Kamal Haasan's and Shivam, where the protagonists travel from Bhubaneswar to Chennai, and address themes like atheism and communism, giving it the depth usually reserved for its lead characters. In Malayalam cinema, Neelakash Hakukadal Chuvanabhumi, 2013, followed a similar line, though on motorcycles, as the protagonists made their way from Kerala to the northeast. Road movies are about letting external factors call the shots, says Dan MacArthur, the top of Menon's Akshamian Badhumade Mayada, a trip from Chennai to Maharashtra. You can predict how the light will be and you run the risk of returning without a single shot. That's the tough part of shooting a journey. But from the lensman's eye, The challenge is to refrain from making every frame a picture postcard, shares cinematographer Madhu Neelakantan, who shot the Malayalam film Rani Padmini, 2015, pictured above. A feminist road movie, it culminates in its two female leads escaping patriarchy and literally finding wings, hang gliding over the Himalayas. The film can afford the larger-than-life beauty of the Himalayas. It gives the feeling of utopia, a place where the two women are free. The mountains are very much a character in that sense, he says. However, for Miskin, whose 2010 film Nandalila, inspired from Takeshi Kitano's Kikujiro, traced the journey of a mentally challenged adult and an 8-year-old boy, both in search of their respective mothers, the journey is hardly beautiful. When we're reliving painful memories, it cannot all be pretty. The places need to signify that. Instead of wide-angle shots, I use close-ups of the actors' feet, as they walk, run and move about, to make the journey come alive, says the director.